Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the joy of discovery in video games and how that's kind of a relic of a bygone age, which makes me a little bit sad. Now, before we begin, two things. One of them is my voice is not going to sound as usual because I'm a little bit sick. Still haven't fully recovered, but I still wanted to record this video. And second, the gameplay that you're going to be watching throughout this video is going to be my second Elden Ring character exploring the Altus Plateau and Mount Gelmir. So if you do not want to watch that, feel free to minimize it. It's mostly just flavor footage so that you have something to watch while I'm rambling on about the multiple topics that I want to talk about in the video. And I'll give you a little bit of an update at the end of the video about my second Elden Ring character. But anyways, let's get started. And I wanted to start this video by talking about a quote that most of you will probably be familiar with. This is a quote by Soren Johnson and Sid Meier. And the quote goes, "Given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun out of a game." And this is something that I've been feeling that over the years has become more and more prevalent. And as a matter of fact, I would like to build on top of this quote and add my own. And my quote would be, "This is the culture of the now. Fun and discovery are irrelevant when compared to efficiency and effectiveness. People feel they need to optimize their media consumption so they can dominate the real battlefield, the arena of social media." Because let's face it, that is kind of like the battle that most people are fighting nowadays. At least from my experience, most people want to consume whatever is the latest relevant piece of media for social discourse, whether that is, Game of Thrones back when that was a thing, whether that is the latest season of whatever show you happen to be watching, whether that is a video game. And in this case, recently it has been Elden Ring. A lot of people, they feel like they need to optimize the way in which they play a video game or even the way in which they watch. I mean, I'm sure that some people will even watch certain shows at like 1.5 speed just so that they can consume it faster and they're caught up with the story that everybody is talking about so that they can talk about this thing in social media. Now, if we think about this, you'll notice that the advent of the internet has been both amazing and terrible for video games, which is what I'm focusing on. But you can also argue for stuff like shows and, whatever piece of media you happen to be interested in consuming. Because, when it comes to games, you can basically play games with your friends wherever they are, so long as they have an internet connection. And this is fantastic, because I've made friends all over the world because of this. It's just been something that I personally love. But one of the things that I feel is lost is that a lot of people, once they've gotten access to this amazing technology that is the internet, and I'm not advocating for internet regulation, this is not the topic of this video, but it's like once a lot of people have had access to the amazing technology of internet, they've kind of forgotten the need for regular social interaction with people, which is why I kind of feel that this is both a blessing and a curse, because I personally still much prefer to, go to a friend's house or something, take a console if we want to play games together and whatnot, but actually physically be in the presence of someone is completely different from playing a video game with them online. I just wanted to bring this up a little bit because I feel like this is also another one of those lost concepts that not a whole lot of people really talk about. Is people are just like, oh yeah, let's just get together online and play a video game. And it's very different when you do it like that versus when you actually hang out physically in the same space. It's just a completely different experience. I understand not everybody has the opportunity to do that and whatnot, and this is like a whole video topic onto itself, but it is something that I wanted to bring up that, being able to play with your friends online is not just a blessing unless there's no other way that you can do it. Like I've said, there's people that have basically stopped hanging out with their friends in real life because they just want to play video games online and stuff like that. And it's like, don't forget the actual real life social aspect of hanging out with your friends, which is much more beneficial than just doing it online. Online is also really cool, don't get me wrong, but hanging out in real life is a completely different experience. But anyways, that was, like I said, it's kind of like a little bit of a tangent that I went on. There's so let's just look at the positive aspects, right? internet gets introduced. You can play with your friends online. You can chat with your friends online. You can do all of this amazing stuff. It's really cool. You can share information, all of this. But with the advent of the internet and, as things evolve, eventually you can just Google any information you could ever need for a video game on the day of its release, which removes a lot of the mystery and joy of discovery, because instead of, discovering things for themselves, a lot of people nowadays just go to a wiki or something and look up, I want to see what's the most powerful thing that I can possibly do for developing my character, and that's the thing that I want to work towards, that's the thing that I want to use. Which, if that's the way that you like playing video games, that's completely up to you, and you go and you have a blast. I'm not trying to dictate how you should be enjoying media, but I am trying to express a little bit of frustration in the fact that I feel that the joy of discovery in video games is definitely a relic of a bygone age, because very few people actually they actually go about things without looking up information the second it becomes available to them. And again, this all feels like it is being done for the purpose of people being able to post about these things in social media when they finally understand what the whole thing is about, including even people getting involved in things that they initially are not that interested in. Say, for instance, Elden Ring, which is kind of like a niche video game, even though like over 12 million copies, and probably by now maybe even 20, who the hell knows, because I don't know current numbers, I haven't really looked it up. But this definitely feels like something that for a lot of people is out of character for them to play. And don't get me wrong, I welcome new people coming to the game, but at the same time, I kind of feel like they're doing themselves a disservice by just constantly looking up guides that give them detailed instructions as to how to go through the game, right? This is why the first two guides that I did for Elden Ring don't really give you too much details as to how to actually progress in the game in terms of which weapons you should be using, which spells you should be equipping, and all of this stuff. It just kind of like gives you a running start so that you can understand how the game works mechanically, how you can get, a couple of decent things early on. But I wish that people would actually take the time to experience the discovery of the game for themselves, as opposed to just like, oh no, I gotta go look up what's the most optimal critical path that I can make in order to complete all of the quest lines, in order to get the most powerful item that I can possibly want, in order to, optimize my character to the nth degree. These are things that I don't think people should be doing, particularly in a first playthrough. Like, in your first playthrough, there's a reason why I always harp on the fact that, listen, there is only one first playthrough of a Souls game. And yes, the second playthrough is also going to be great. The third playthrough is probably going to be fantastic depending on how much you enjoy these games. But the first playthrough is the one that is truly magical, because you don't know where anything is. Because once you know where things are, once you know where enemies are, once you know what bosses do, once you know where certain weapons are, then the magic of the discovery is kind of gone. It's just not there anymore. And that's the reason why the second playthrough that I'm currently doing, I'm basically trying to explore and discover a lot of things for myself. And I can tell you right now, like, I found so much more than I found in the first playthrough, and it's been just a joy going through a second time around for myself without actually needing to record. But even in my second playthrough, I'm still experiencing a certain amount of joy of discovery, and it's just a feeling that I really wish that I could share with more people, because I feel like a lot of people are getting into gaming. A lot of people are getting into games that potentially they would have never gotten to before because they've gotten more popular, and it's understandable. And I keep feeling like they're missing out because of the fact that it's like, no, I'm going to look up this guy. I'm going to look up this strategy. I'm going to do this thing. And you're destroying so many things that these games can give you, and you will never experience them because, you're looking this stuff up instantly. And again, if that is something that you actually like, more power to you. Enjoy games however you feel like you want to enjoy them. But I would recommend at some point in your life, try doing it the other way. Like, maybe you've never played Demon Souls before. Try playing Demon Souls without looking up a guide. Try figuring stuff out, piecing the puzzle together for yourself. Try figuring out which strategy you want to do for your character, for yourself, without going like, okay, I want to do a dexterity build. I'm going to look up what's the most powerful dexterity weapon I could possibly use, and I'm going to use that. Instead of doing that, try actually figuring it out for yourself and exploring it. And you will see, I guarantee it, that for a lot of people, you will discover that, dude, there's actually this Rurikhan guy, he's got a point. Like, there's something to this joy of discovery that I've been missing out on because I've just been looking up guides and trying to figure stuff out, more like looking up things instead of piecing things together by myself. But the thing is, when it comes to these types of spoilers, this isn't even just done by players. This is actually done by a lot of game publishers, and when it comes to other forms of media, like even just the people working on movies and shows, they will happily reveal like the plot twists to you in a friggin' trailer, which to me is just like so weird. Like, to give you guys an idea, the actual last couple of trailers that they released for Elden Ring, I didn't watch them. I still haven't watched them. Because I know that there are still things in the game, even though I've finished the game now. I know that there are still things in the game that I haven't found out. And I don't want to find out those things by looking at a trailer. I don't think that's interesting at all. I wish that trailers were way more minimalistic, like sure, reveal one or two bosses or whatever, but mostly just stick to showcasing the gameplay of the game and, to informing people what the game's going to be about, as opposed to actually just showing stuff that spoils a majority of things. Like a big culprit when it comes to these types of trailers is Monster Hunter. Like, you guys will know, I love Monster Hunter. It is hands down my favorite franchise. I friggin' love it. And, I also love Souls. And the three big pillars of my three big pillars when it comes to video games in the last, friggin' 3 years or so, have basically been Souls, Monster Hunter, and Final Fantasy XIV. These are like the last big three franchises that I really care about, right? And Monster Hunter is particularly egregious when it comes to their trailers because they will reveal 99% of the game's roster of monsters over multiple trailers. As a matter of fact, I think in Rise, the only monster they didn't reveal was the last one. I think that was the only surprise they were able to get. I think that pretty much every single other monster in the game was revealed through either Twitter or YouTube videos or something like that. And I don't know about you guys, I friggin' hate that. I don't like that at all. Because it's such a different experience when you are in the game and suddenly they're like, oh, go over here and there's a monster that you don't know about and you have to like investigate or whatnot. Then you get there and it's a monster that you weren't expecting. It just feels great. Or even just like receiving a quest for a monster that you weren't expecting. You're like, oh my God, this monster's in the game? This is awesome. And it's kind of like the same thing for just about every video game. It becomes extremely hard to experience this joy of discovery. And again, I feel like nowadays when I say this, because, I am 39 years old at this point. I'm going to be 40 this year. And I do understand that a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, oh, what a boomer take, dude. And it's like, yeah, maybe, I guess, but I still feel like there is something to be said about the joy of discovery, the joy of exploration. Like, look, we're in an age, and I know that this is a bit of a meme, but it's true. It is a meme, but it's true. We're in an age where we were born too late to explore the world, and we were born too soon to explore space. We were born in perfect time to explore dank memes. But seriously, video games are one of the few forms of exploration that a lot of us have left. Because, I'm not going to go to space and, try to chart the galaxy or whatever. I'm never going to be able to do that. It's way too soon for that. I believe that in hundreds of years or something, we might be a spacefaring civilization if we don't destroy ourselves with World War III before that. But, it's like, for me, it's way too soon. So video games kind of like fill that need that I feel that a lot of us in humanity have, of just like the natural desire of wanting to explore and discover. And it's weird for me that people a lot of times end up ruining this for themselves, I mean, let me know in the comment sections if you disagree. I wanted to give you guys a bit of an example, right? Because for those of you that do not know, I actually came from World of Warcraft. It was like one of my first big games that I was extremely invested in. And one of the things that a lot of people will tell you is like, oh, vanilla, man, vanilla World of Warcraft, those were the days. And for those of you that don't even know what that means, vanilla is base World of Warcraft. It's like the very first one without any of the expansions. And one of the reasons why vanilla is remembered so fondly is because this game they released in like 2004. And yes, the internet was around, but wikis and guides were not nearly as prevalent. I believe that eventually a couple of years later something came out which was Thoughtbot, which when you think about it in the connotation of thoughts nowadays, right, it's a completely different thing because it was THOTTBOT. This was like one of the first World of Warcraft search engines, at least that's the first that I can remember, where people started actually filling out information about the game. But before that was out, there were just like tons and tons of mysteries in the world of World of Warcraft that people just didn't know because this stuff had not been data mined, this stuff had not been mapped out, and a lot of people would live to explore these mysteries, to be like, oh my god, what is the mystery behind this thing over here? Like there was that whole theory about how you could eventually, this is just one of the few ones that comes to mind, there was this sword, this paladin sword, I think it's Ashkandi? Was it Ashkandi? I forget what the name of it was, but it's like this two-handed paladin sword. And no, it's the Ashbringer. That's what it is. The Ashbringer. And you were able to get it in a raid, a corrupted version of this sword, but this was a sort of legend. It was like in the lore of the game about how this was like this big paladin sword. And there were all of these theories about how you would be able to purify the blade and with a specific quest line that nobody knew about. And let me explain something to you. None of this was actually in the game. As in, there wasn't any way to actually purify the Ashbringer sword, but people would theorize about it. And there was even a time where, you know, people talked about how there was a link between this sword and a fisherman, and people leveled up their fishing, trying to fish up the purified Ashbringer. I thought that was hilarious. And it's like those little moments, you know, those mysteries and those like urban legends, when they populate a video game, it is fantastic. And this is kind of like what it was back in the day, and that's why World of Warcraft Vanilla is remembered so fondly. It's not because it was an excellent video game. It was because there was still a lot of mystery around it. Now, the closest experience I've had to this, because I came in very late to World of Warcraft, right? But the closest experience that I've had to this was playing through Demon Souls and Dark Souls for the very first time. These were extremely exciting times to play video games because the wikis were not fully established. So even if you wanted to look up information, you couldn't. You had to kind of like piece things together for yourself. You had to kind of like try to figure out, what is the story of this game? What is the best way to play the game? What things can we extrapolate and discover from this game? And it was mystery, right? And this was what my experience was. If you guys have been watching the Let's Play of Elden Ring, that's the experience that I've been having with Elden Ring, which is like I'm trying to piece these things together. And of course, I'm going to mess it up, but the world felt so much bigger before I finished the game. It felt, I mean, the game is massive. The game is friggin' huge, no matter which way you look at it, right? But it felt even bigger when I didn't know what was going on. Right? When I didn't know, where's this weapon? Where's this thing? And to a certain extent, there are still a lot of things left for me to explore in Elden Ring, and it's been a fantastic time. But I guess the crux of this is that there is excitement in the unknown, in finding new things. And I really wish that more people would try to experience this for themselves. If you don't, then don't. And it's whatever. It's just, this is just me talking about a subject that I'm particularly passionate about, and that is the joy of discovery. Now, about that Elden Ring update that I wanted to tell you guys at the end, you guys have been watching me play my secondary character. I'm not going to be, I mean, I might stream this at some point when my voice gets better and whatnot, because right now I can't. I mean, you know, I might do like a Twitch stream, which is more chill or whatever, but I can't really keep up with doing a proper YouTube stream because it requires a little bit more hype, a little bit more whatever. But I might stream, I don't know, maybe New Game Plus or something, but that's going to be taking a while. And it's also Easter right now. So this weekend, to give you guys an idea, I spent the whole weekend just hanging out with my kids, and it was fantastic. Hadn't done that in a while. As you can imagine, with me just like recording friggin' Elden Ring nonstop. I really do hope that you guys enjoyed that playthrough. But yeah, for my second playthrough, I'm basically trying to figure out a way to optimize things to get the one-eyed shield to be my main damage dealer, which I think would be friggin' hilarious, which is like this gun shield that you have in the game. But yeah, we'll see how that works out. But for now, just thank you all very much for watching the video. Thank you all very much for the outstanding support in the Let's Play, because it's something that I don't get to do very often, because just like in terms of time constraints, it's just insane to do what I did, and being a father of 2 kids. So bear with me, and just really, really, really thank you all for the support, and I hope you guys keep enjoying the videos. Thank you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.